Clan Ministry, otherwise known as the Followers of Set, a previous name for them. These kindred, or Setites, as they're also called, these are your devilish, sinful, corruptor vampires. Sure, this guy might have all the right tools you need, maybe some proper intel, some resource you gotta get your hands on, but do you really want to shake hands with the devil? Do you want to make that deal and possibly have a price that you cannot fulfill? Not if you want to stay human. In all honesty, Clan Ministry can be summed up just like this, literally just this.
Shadow, it's me, the devil. I'm here to convince you to do sin.
They take this whole sin and corruption thing on a religious level because Clan Ministry, their big thing is corruption, subverting people's convictions and beliefs, breaking down those walls and trying to convince you, hey, that's sin? Not actually a sin, bro. Keep doing it. Go wilder, actually. And here's the material you need to do it. That's their whole shtick. And the reason for this is actually very interesting. Clan Ministry is a religious clan. They are a fucking church. They used to be the Followers of Set. That was an older name. After a rebrand, which I'll get into later, the Followers of Set worship a god that kind of values this whole sinning and corrupting thing. They believe that you can split a person into two parts, the soul and the body. Your soul is this eternal, beautiful, divine thing, free-flowing and perfect. And then meanwhile, your body is corruptible. It's stuck on earth. It's not beautiful. It's kind of gross, kind of shitty. Now your soul yearns to be free. It is a beautiful thing and it wants to get out of this disgusting flesh prison it is currently held in. Because you, living out here in the meat world, have all these things weighing down on you. Things pulling you and forcing you to stay on Earth. Clan Ministry believes in breaking those down because those things are keeping you from achieving your true potential. The only way to break away from these systems are by directly breaking the things that hold us down, which is things like your habits that you currently use, any major belief systems, be they governmental or religion. Religion likes to put all these labels onto things, what you can and can't do. In fact, there's a quote that's said a lot when it comes to Clan Ministry's belief. If your body in the world is a prison, then gods must be its jailers. And so, by exalting sin, you break away those ties, and only then can you achieve physical and spiritual enlightenment, be truly free. Now, I hope you can tell from this is fucking crazy. This is awful. Listen, I respect it. I respect the hustle. I can see the reasons. On paper, yeah, sure, freeing yourself from these ties that bind you to Earth, fair enough, I guess. But these guys, like, the shit they do is bad. So Clan Ministry, because of this belief system, are involved in some of the worst shady industries and straight up crime. Shit like weapon dealing, drug pushing, pornography, Games Workshop, many more horrible companies. And one of the reasons they have this is because their compulsion, the beast, pushes them to corrupt things. They really want to just push you to take that next step, to do something that goes against your beliefs. Like when it comes to the tabletop, it's specifically trying to push either an NPC or a player to break one of their convictions that they hold, try to get some stains on their humanity tracker. And then because of this kind of shittier nature, they don't like being exposed to the light. These kind of gross evil acts don't want to be exposed. So light kind of affects them. On one hand, this can be affected by sunlight. They take extra damage. They burn a lot quicker in direct sunlight. And then on the other hand, if you just shine a bright light into a minister's face, they will recoil. My heart goes out to any Clan Ministry players who have had like that stereotypical police interrogation scene with the big overhead light. That must have been a struggle. So why are they like this? What caused them to be like this? Well, this kind of goes back to their antediluvian, or not, or maybe he wasn't. A dude named Set, as in Set from the Followers of Set. Also, as in Set, the Egyptian god Set. That guy. So this character has a lot of shit going on, a lot. I'm not gonna get into it in this video because otherwise it'd be stupid long. I plan to make a video on him alone because there's so much information here. That mainly because there are so many different stories based on his origin and the origin of clan ministry or followers of Set. So there are 3 possible things for him, 3 possible origins for him and his clan. I will paint them in broad strokes, and when I eventually make a video, I will actually go into them a lot more in depth. So stay tuned, subscribe and do that shit. The first one, the story of Set is literally the Egyptian story of Osiris, like Ra and Horus, the story of Ra stepping down, and he was gonna nominate Osiris as being the next leader of the gods. Set was a little mad, made the coffin, chopped up Osiris. Isis used his dick in somehow and made Horus, and then boom, they fought, kicked his ass, and now Horus is involved. Like that Egyptian mythology, like that story we've all heard. And it literally happened, like for real, in this telling of Set's origin. And then after this, Ra cursed him for going through all of this, cursing him with being a vampire. And specifically, due to Ra being the sun god, cursed him to never be able to go in the sun again. Which then he went out and he gained 12 disciples that he wandered around with. These disciples he turned into vampires as Childer, who then were punished by Ra for siding with Set, and all 12 immediately turned their back on him, begging for any form of forgiveness. Set, declaring his vengeance that will be gained one day, went off and disappeared to never be seen again. Now there are a couple things with this telling I want to point out. First, in this retelling, Set is the first vampire. He is the origin point. Cain, not in this fucking story. And those 12 disciples, despite being a little bit of a Jesus figure, those 12 disciples are very implied, as in pretty overtly said, to be the founders of the 12 other clans in Vampire. This is a pretty heavy rewrite of the origin of vampires in vampire lore, directly going against the origin we get in the Book of Nod, which also paints the reason why Set and his followers are kind of really against the other clans. The second one goes a little like this. So Set is instead a warrior, a great powerful warrior, working with like Osiris, and he's serving under Ra. Specifically, his job is to fight Apep, the chaos serpent, the serpent that will devour the sun one day, and the apocalypse will happen. He is the best warrior, he's the coolest guy, and he keeps bragging about how cool he is. And Osiris thinks he's a nerd, so he decides to pull a little funny prank. He poisons Set, so when the next time he has to go fight Apep, he starts stumbling and staggering, where Osiris goes in for a funny little kill steal and gets absolutely dumpstered and knocked unconscious, to where Set is on there, drugged, just laying on the ground, as Apep just bites him and infuses him with venom purely from the underworld, like cursing him as he's death-marked now, making him a vampire. So now he has to walk the night. He has to feed on humans, and he cannot be under the sun because he is this creature that is basically dead, infused with the underworld's energies, but not actually there. And then the third one. Third one's a little interesting. So in this one, Set isn't even a god. He's a group of these really cool, powerful dudes in Egypt, to where then he notices these strange entities called the Strangers that are trying to manifest in reality. So where he leaves and goes to try to find out what they are, to where he finds a weird city that if you want to enter, you have to be unmade. And the leader of this city is known as the Defiant One. And this Defiant One talks about how he was cursed to be this creature because he refused forgiveness, because he knew if he did, it would bring the end of the world. To where Set takes pity on him and asks to take off this burden to help him, to where Apep, the Chaos Serpent, bites him and curses him and unmakes him in this method. To where now Set fights against these entities coming into reality, but for some reason, he has to be hated by everyone. So his followers do their best to be shitty and evil, so then everybody hates Set. This third one's fucking wild, okay? So the whole thing with the Strangers, I don't know. I couldn't find much detail on it. But also, obviously, very obviously Enoch in the first city, to where I think the interesting part of this, and the thing I like about vampire lore and the World of Darkness, is like, you can see the through line for a lot of these, right? The first one is just a retelling of the myth. It's literally just the original myth with vampires added in at the end. But then the other two, you see the through line. Like, it's always bitten by something, bitten by a snake that's then cursing him, as in the embrace, and then brought on as this like dark creature. So it feels like it's genuinely a really warped retelling of being embraced by a vampire, which makes me a little lean more to these two others stories. I don't know. The first one I'm not totally buying. That Set is an actual god in the first vampire. I don't fully buy it. I buy the other two. And in fact, it's actually a debate on who embraced Set in the first place. There's a lot of theories. One of them being the antediluvian for the gangrels, but who knows? But another thing with this through line with the snake is the disciplines. The disciplines you get if you play as a clan ministry. You get obfuscate, vampiric stealth, be it your intentions, your physical form, or even your identity. Because on one hand, you might use this in a method of sneaking into a place you shouldn't, or you could take on another face and another name and infiltrate some group that you kind of want to pull to yours. And then another one you get is presence. Presence being the control of emotions. Make people love you and adore you, or fear you completely. And then the last one. This is Serpentis in every other edition, and Protean in Vampire 5, because Vampire 5 uses amalgam abilities instead of having all the really cool, unique stuff from the other editions. I like V5. I think the core system's very cool. I don't like how they handle disciplines, I'm gonna be honest. But the main thing is Protean is transformation, shapeshifting, taking on animal forms. And the Setites use this specifically to take on more reptilian forms. More things that are native to Egypt. While Gangrel use this to, turn into wolves and such, instead they go for snakes. Venomous teeth to bite people, eyes of the snake, or in particular, they could even go into crocodiles. So then we get to the modern knights. So there's a key question here. Why did the followers of Set change their name to Ministry? Well, this is a main method of rebranding their image, changing it up a little bit to fit more into vampiric society. So this isn't every part of the clan. In Egypt, they still call themselves the followers of Set, and they're a little more dogmatic and fundamentalist to the original religion. It's shifted a little bit in others. They've always been kind of isolationist, and honestly for a good fucking reason, because the fact they're in Egypt means that they have to deal with a couple of other supernatural creatures. In fact, one thing they got to deal with are werecats, known as Basets. If you're Werewolf the Apocalypse, Gaia made some other creatures based on where they could be in the world, Wolves aren't native to every spot on Earth. They fight them, and then the other one, the mummies. Because mummies are real in World of Darkness. Mummies are very powerful undead creatures because a lot of them come from Osiris and Horus. So you have these three types of entities who are all like, yo, if I see a fucking Setite, it is on sight. I'm killing them. So they got a lot to deal with. But on the other hand, not just fully getting into normal society, they also had a bit of a religion shift. They changed some of their beliefs. So the new name of Ministry also accompanies the idea that a lot of them now have of Set lives inside of them. In fact, Set actually awoke in 300 BCE, and he was just yelling in Egypt and Africa. And everyone around heard it. All of his clan members heard his voice, singing through their blood. And so they feel like they can hear him communicate through their veins and reverberate in their own blood, to where some even go so far as to meditate, just quietly trying to listen for any of his new teachings and new sayings. And so with that name, every clan member is kind of like their own ministry, because now their god lives inside of them. Which also leads to a really fun thing of every clan ministry member usually has their own secret heretical version of their religion, because you have this personal God inside of you talking to you. You're gonna make your own interpretations because God said so. So usually they keep this mega secret because the more fundamentalists might get a little upset on the deviation. But on the other hand, if you're really persuasive enough and you're really charismatic, you can convince other Setites to join your version of the religion. Or you could convince other kindred. Because that's actually a thing. You don't have to be born into the clan. you can be brought in as a kindred of another clan. And all of this too, they were trying to really re-enter the society because a lot of shit kept happening. So one big deal is the fact that the Gehenna War is going on in the Middle East. The Beckoning is calling all the elders to go fight in this war. And they also previously did have an invitation to join the Camarilla, and they ignored it. They just didn't attend the meeting, which Camarilla was not happy about. But they tried to get in. They tried to set up a meeting. They were rejected. They were told they cannot join the Camarilla Society. Not fully their fault, maybe. They set up a nice little like third-party joint at a hotel, and then somebody set up a bomb in the hotel and blew it up. And we don't know who did it, but there's theories like Banu Hakim, that clan did it because they also tried to rejoin the Camarilla at the same time, and they had the most to gain from the Camarilla saying no to the Setites. Or the Toreador, which they might have a little bit of beef with. Or the Setites themselves might have done it because after being rejected by the Camarilla, the Anarchs welcomed the ministry with open arms. A bad move. A bad move. Don't trust these guys ever. I think they're cool. I think they're very neat. I love them. There's so many cool character concepts. But don't trust the dudes whose entire religion is corrupting people and being sinful. I don't know, man. Keep them on a fucking leash. Just keep away. I don't want to deal with it. Which then brings us to, I guess, the important question. Where does this put you as a new member of clan ministry in the world of darkness? Well, there's a lot of avenues I think you can take a character like this. Maybe your character is part of just some local clique that you've built up together. Maybe your character is some sort of like youth pastor. Yeah, sure, other people tell you you're at risk, but what's the harm? Maybe you're even like a guidance counselor, or you're leading some sort of like addiction counseling group. And you start to say like, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you're the leader of a megachurch. You're something, you're part of a group. You're leading people to kind of twist their morality and their framework. Now here's the important question. How true to this belief are you? Because on one hand, you might truly be this all-corrupting devil figure, won't you shake my hand, crossroads demon. But on the other, are you getting high on your own supply? You might act like you're separate from all this. You're separate from indulging. This sinful thing, it's something you tell the others to do. You don't actually do it. You're in control. You're in complete control of the things you do. Those vices you do, it's not as bad as everyone else. And the real question is any of that true? Are you as corruptible as everyone else around you? Are you enlightened? Or are you just looking for another dose? And that's clan ministry. That's the kind of stories you can tell with this clan. I think they're very neat. They're definitely on the top for me. But yeah, stay tuned to other videos. I'm gonna cover Set himself later and go through some other clans. So if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff, join my membership, and see ya.